2024 will be the fourth year of Formula One using a sprint weekend format. They introduced the sprint races back in 2021, and each year has had a little bit of a tweak up in terms of the format or how the points are given out or whatever it may be. And they have once again tweaked the format. I'm going to give you all of those details, give you my opinion on it. And then there are some other Formula One news I'll explain it later, but it has to do with Christian Horner and some accusations. So first, we're going to talk about, as I said, the sprint format and some other minor changes to the Formula One rules in terms of DRS and all that. So let me read it out to you. Following previous support by the F1 Commission for an update to the sprint weekend, there was an agreement for a reordering of the sessions during the sprint weekend, with free practice 1 and sprint qualifying taking place on Friday, the sprint and Grand Prix qualifying on Saturday, and the Grand Prix on Sunday. So yeah, as I said, every year this has changed. That first year, remember, we saw the sprints happen and only the top 3 got points. We saw the qualifying for the sprint, and then the finishing results of the sprint ended up being the starting lineup on Sunday for the Grand Prix. And then in 2022, they kind of expanded the points. 1st through 8th got points. The sprint no longer set the qualifying lineup or the starting lineup for the Grand Prix. And then, they shuffled everything else up. There was a separate sprint qualifying and Grand Prix qualifying. And then this past year, they once again kind of just did some minor tweaks in terms of the Grand Prix qualifying and the sprint qualifying. And so they have once again done another tweak. The thing is, I am one of the few who actually likes the sprint. Yeah, you could say, it just gives a preview to Sunday, but it adds a little bit of, chaos to the weekend. There's a little bit more uncertainty just because you don't have as many practice sessions and qualifying sessions. So it kind of reduces the weekends in terms of practice, and it gives you more racing. It gives you more points to be scored. But it is a little bit confusing when they change the format every year. I wish that they would commit to a single format, say, hey, if this is the format right here, if they really like this FP1 and sprint qualifying Friday, and then do the sprint, and then do Grand Prix qualifying after the sprint on Saturday, if they really like that format, stick to it. If you have found the format that you like and the majority of fans like, stick to that format, please, because all this switching around, it can get very confusing, and it takes a couple of times to get into it and to, get used to it, to memorize it, get it down. I just wish they would commit to one. Now, the sprint races have been announced which tracks they'll be at. It's going to be at China, Miami, Austria, the U.S. in Austin, Sao Paulo, Brazil, and then also Qatar. Those will be your sprints in 2024. As for the other rule changes, here is what the FIA release said. A proposal to increase the power unit allocation to 4 per driver for the 2024 and 2025 seasons was agreed. DRS activation for the race will be anticipated to 1 lap as opposed to 2 laps after the start of the race or the restart following a safety car. The group discussed a number of topics relating to the 2026 regulations, in particular financial and sustainability matters. Other minor updates, to the 2024 technical, sporting, and financial regulations were approved by the commission. So yes, the power unit allocation, you're only allowed to use a certain amount of power units per season per driver, and they're going to increase that number to 4. So that's pretty straightforward. As for the DRS thing, that's also straightforward. You lap 1 of the race, the start of the race, you don't get DRS. In lap 2, you do not get DRS. Kind of sort things out, make sure not everyone's bunched on top of each other, wrecking each other. But then, lap 3, DRS is activated within those zones. But they have decided to move the DRS activation up a full lap. So lap 1, it's still the same. Everyone's going to be shuffling around for position, using the slipstream on the long straights, but no DRS activated on that first lap. However, that second lap, DRS will be activated. So I'm curious to what tempted them to make that change. But it's an interesting change. It should make things more interesting, especially at the beginning of the race. If Max Verstappen jumps out to the lead, if he can't build a 1 second lead in a lap, then, we might have a little bit more of a challenge for the lead in those early stages. So maybe just to make the beginning of the race a little bit more interesting, that was the thought behind it. But as I said, these are minor tweaks that could have a big impact, but nothing, earth-shattering here. It's not like they're getting rid of the rear wing completely. So now to a more serious topic here regarding Red Bull Racing, actually. Red Bull made the announcement this morning, or they released a statement talking about accusations against the team principal for the racing team, the F1 racing team that is, and the CEO of that same team, Christian Horner. The statement was released by the Red Bull parent company in Austria. This was not released by Red Bull Racing. And it's a pretty serious accusation. I'm going to read you the statement first. It's about Christian Horner and alleged inappropriate behavior. They do not specify what that means, but there is an investigation. After being made aware of certain recent allegations, the company launched an independent investigation. This process, which is already underway, is being carried out by an external specialist barrister. The company takes these matters extremely seriously, and the investigation will be completed as soon as practically possible. It would not be appropriate to comment further at this time. There's a ton of rumors, speculation, all of that going on the internet and all that stuff, but Red Bull has kept it pretty tight kept in terms of what they are saying. That's about the only statement we've seen from them so far, but obviously there's no specifics as to what the inappropriate behavior may be. As I said, there's a lot of rumors and stuff, but nothing has been, confirmed, denied, anything like that. And I don't want to over speculate into that because it is a very serious and a very sensitive matter. But there is an investigation going on with Red Bull, with Christian Horner, and there's no knowing what the result is going to be. So Christian Horner is under investigation by the Red Bull parent company. So we will see what ends up happening there, see how serious it is. Obviously, inappropriate behavior, that's a wide range of things, but it could be very serious. And if that is the case, then obviously Red Bull will take action. But yeah, there's been so much news in the F1 world this last week. 2023, I mean, seriously, 2023, the biggest story was the drain cover hole in Las Vegas destroyed Carlos Sainz's car. It's been 1 week in February. In 2024, we haven't even got to preseason testing, and we've got Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari, Andretti getting rejected. These allegations against Christian Horner, it has been a wild, just this last week alone has been wild. So, obviously, once again, I don't want to over speculate into the Horner thing just because it is a very serious topic. But as for the new rules changes, the new regulations, in terms of the DRS, in terms of the sprint qualifying format, we'll see how it works out. A lot of people, kind of don't like the sprint, or they're kind of iffy on the sprint. But I'm curious to see how this format works, especially on Saturday. Like if you crash out in the sprint, how does that mess with your Grand Prix qualifying? So we'll see. But thanks for watching this video. I'll get you guys any other news that happens. I'll do my best at least. I'm here in the U.S. It's rare that I get breaking news here, but I've gotten some breaking news at the time that I've been awake and up and stuff. So it's been nice, but everything else usually happens at 3 a.m. So apologies if I'm late or extremely late. So thank you again for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed, and have a good rest of your day, morning, or night, wherever you may be.